The Community Preservation Committee meets, and here's a request for funding. Hello, I'm Len Gobeil. It's Tuesday, June 25th, and this is Barnstable Today. The Community Preservation Committee met Monday afternoon and heard a proposal from the Growth Management Department. Growth Management Director Joanne Miller-Buntage presented a request to hire a consultant who will create a plan which, if eventually approved by the Town Council, will allow a growth overlay district in the village of Hyannis. And this will allow more affordable, dense housing.
Once completed, again, these initiatives will provide incentives for the development of year-round housing. And as I mentioned, it's a primary economic goal in downtown Hyannis. So we're pursuing funding from a number of sources to fund this project. So this is the general study area, and this is a very general study area. Some of these initiatives require the identification of specific parcels. Some are based on census tracts, but as you can see, this is roughly, the area where this will all be taking place. This is around the downtown core up to Falmouth Road and on the west there, and on the north, I mean. So the specifics of each, I didn't want to bore you, but I wanted to give you opportunities to ask as many questions as you wanted to. 40R is a section of Mass General Law that establishes essentially overlay zoning districts that allow greater density than you typically allow in your other zoning districts. They relate to this as a smart growth development tool, and it certainly can be viewed as that. For us, it's implementation of our downtown revitalization in Hyannis, and there's another component to it called 40S. Both 40R and 40S provide financial incentives to the town when they adopt and as the units begin to come online. So the 40R district, the requirements of that, it has to be near transit stations, commuter rail, bus and ferry terminals. I think you can see the confluences there between downtown Hyannis and these requirements. Areas of concentrated development, including town and city centers, commercial districts, existing rural villages, which is not us, areas that by virtue of their infrastructure, transportation access, and underutilized facilities make these suitable for mixed-use smart growth zoning districts. And Hyannis fits all of those criteria, downtown Hyannis. So to give you an idea about densities, this is actually from the state's website. Just these are, of course, somewhere else. They're not here. We're looking at starting at 8 units to the acre and going up to 20 units to the acre. So this is sort of what that looks like. That's how that presents that type of density. So it certainly are densities that are completely appropriate to downtown Hyannis. For a frame of reference, this is our Barnstable Housing Authority property in Hyannis, and that's actually 30 units to the acre. So what we're proposing, it would be proposing on certain parcels in downtown Hyannis would not even be quite as dense as that. So the compact neighborhoods, this is another new tool. Some have said that this is the tool for people who don't want to go all the way to 40R. So it may be, as you can see, the densities are a little lower. So we may, as we evaluate this, we may use this in other areas also surrounding the core where we want to encourage some additional density. And actually, my reason for wanting to do compact neighborhoods is because they rate you higher in grants. So it's a star. It's a check. It's a good check for us. EOHED does this Housing Development Incentive Program. I'll just tell you a funny story. Art and I went to the session that they ran on it, and and we turned the page and it said, here's the 18 simple steps that you can do to get this. And so we're like, oh my God, we need help with this. So it's essentially a tax credit program, but listening to gateway cities, they understood that gateway cities don't necessarily need all affordable housing downtown in their downtown cores because they have a lot already. So there's a component of that that's in there.
I have a quick question. Because you're so involved in this that you know all this stuff and you went through it really quickly, but I'm not. But in your letter of submission on your application, you have a project outline, and down on the paragraph below the first paragraph, you said, providing incentives for the development of year-round rental housing, both affordable and market rate. Is this an affordable housing project or a rental project?
The project itself will incentivize both affordable and market rate. The percent of the budget that we're asking.
Affordable rental or affordable?
Rental.
This whole program's rental?
This is about rental housing. And the percent of the budget that we're asking you for corresponds to the percentage of affordables that will be required by the 40R and incentivized by HDIP and compact neighborhoods.
Do you have a survey of how many rentals are currently available in this area?
This will be the work of the consultant. The market study will be the work of the consultant.
Okay.
That'll be the first sort of step, is to assess the existing market. There's one that has been done recently, actually for the Regional Transit Authority is working on a TOD plan, but I'm skeptical. They used Yarmouth's data for some reason. No one really knows why. So they've indicated that there is a market existing today, and that there will be, that market will increase over the next 10 to 15 years.
Paul, do you have any kind of?
Joanne, could you just explain that if the 40R ends up being a tool that gives by right permitting at the end of the day, so that somebody wouldn't have to go through a 40B process, that they would know that within this zone they could build a certain density and just go through the normal permitting and not go through any extraordinary process?
I love that phrase, normal permitting. The answer is that all of these will have a requirement for as-of-right zoning. So our challenge will be during the planning, and then, of course, during any legislative process required for the adoption, that we really vet this and make sure that everybody understands what's happening, and with greater specificity than the study area that we gave you today, so that that public piece is not missed. It's just placed before the permitting instead of during the permitting.
Anticipate any of the planning process having focus groups as part of, to get to that point where the public is involved early on?
The public will be involved, Paula. To be honest, we haven't put together our public outreach plan.
Okay.
We're just still trying to collect money.
Yeah. I've spoken to some consultants who have worked in other communities. The public process is really important to the 40R, and not to get too complicated, but some communities have done sub-districts so that the same zoning density doesn't apply in the entire 40R district, so you can have some tighter, higher densities in portions of the district, a little less in other portions of the district, so it's not a one-size-fits-all.
The motion by the committee to spend $25,000 was voted unanimously and will be sent to the Barnstable Town Council for their approval. For Barnstable Today, I'm Len Gobeil.